Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of an Ocean Wave, and this is day 19 of the November Daily Draws. So let's see what message we get today, and I'll be taking the first card from the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, followed by an Oracle card from the Forest of Enchantment Oracle. So let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. There we go. So we will go there. So this is the Nine of Visions, which is the Nine of Cups. Once again, a Cups. Seems to be a lot of Cups cards. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but it seems to be a lot of Cups cards, or Visions in this case. And the Nine of Cups or the Nine of Visions is all about fulfillment, personal fulfillment, getting our wishes fulfilled, making a wish. It's almost like he's throwing a coin here into the wishing well. You know, and I love how we have the fish here on the coin, and it's going into the well, and everybody's used the wishing well. You throw a coin in, you make a wish, and it's often called the wish card, the Nine of Cups. So what is it we're wishing for? What's going to bring us that personal satisfaction and fulfillment? Because it's an auspicious time. This is a card saying it's an auspicious time for us to reach out for that wish, to fulfill that, to get that satisfaction, to get that fulfillment, that individual personal fulfillment that we see in the Nine of Cups, or the Nine of Visions in this case. I'm going to say Nine of Cups, even though it's the Nine of Visions, so that it's, we know what we're talking about. So, yes, and it's going to be different, isn't it? We're all going to wish for different things. And also be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. That's the other phrase that always springs to mind with this card. Yes, wish for something, aim for something, but sometimes what we feel will make us happy, will give us that contentment we seek. It doesn't always turn out that way when we get it. When we get it, it doesn't always work out the way we think. And maybe we were looking for the wrong thing to give us that contentment. So we have to be careful that we're setting our sights on the right thing, and that we're wishing for the right thing, and that we're ready to receive it if it should be granted to us. Because sometimes we have to consider that, if we get our wish, how is that going to change our lives? It's going to have an impact, like a coin thrown into the well. It has an impact when it hits the water, the ripples in the well, and everything like that. And as it sinks into the well, it disturbs the water, And when we wish for something, think about the change that if it was granted, it's going to bring to our lives. That's what this card is saying. What you wish for, if it's granted to you, it's going to make your life different. And you may say, well, that's what I want. But are you ready? Are you truly ready for that? Are you ready for the ripples and the changes that is going to bring to you? And that's why we must be careful what we wish for. If the answer is yes, I understand the implications, and there's going to be some changes, and I need to be ready for that, and and if I'm ready to receive this thing into my life, and I'll take with it whatever comes and work with it and adapt with it, then by all means, that's it, go for it. But at least take a moment to think about the implications. We may think something is going to solve our lives and make our lives so much better. We may imagine all kinds of things and wish for all kinds of things. But when we receive them, sometimes we're not ready for the changes that brings. because it's something new coming in. It's bound to make a difference. How life isn't going to be the same when it comes in, because that's why we want it to come in. But are we ready for the change? And there may be unexpected changes. Are we ready for that? So when we're thinking about getting our wishes fulfilled, getting that personal fulfillment and contentment, getting a better life for ourselves, and we think of something that we feel is missing and we wish it into existence, we want it to come into our lives, think about the implications, good and bad. Well, I say bad. Um, Depending on what you wish for, there could, of course, be bad implications, but bad's probably the really good, welcome ones, and more challenging implications. Let's phrase it like that, because they may not be bad changes, but they may be challenging to you because you've got to adapt your life around them and let your life adapt to the new situation. And that can be a challenge sometimes. So I'd say challenging implications rather than bad. The really good, beneficial ones, and they can be beneficial as well. So maybe that's not quite the right terminology to use for the good ones, but the easily received ones and the more challenging ones to integrate into our lives. There are ones that we can quite readily integrate into our lives quite smoothly, and quite happily. Others are a little bit more challenging. That's how we'll phrase it. We got there in the end. So we have to think about that. We have to think about what we are setting our sights on and what we're trying to attract into our lives, because it will have implications. And I think that is what this card is asking us to consider. Yes, by all means, wish for something, aim for something, dream on something. We can always aspire to something that we think is going to bring us that fulfillment. That's all part of life. That's what we should be doing. But just so that we know what's involved in that, and that there will be changes afoot once it begins to come into our lives. So let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. Okay, here we go. The Wild Hunt. There's a different book meaning to this that I'm not going to go into. Again, to me, this is about what we're chasing after, what we're hunting down. Are we ready to catch it? Also, it's this sweeping thing coming in and bringing a bit of chaotic upheaval, which may be part of the change of what you're desiring coming in. And going by the guidebook, I'm not going to give you the whole story, but part of what the guidebook I can remember the last time I drew this card suggests is that it may not be the best time to try and bring that change in, is what this card may also be hinting at. Yes, by all means, have that in your mind, but the Wild Hunt passes through and it creates a bit of disruption, and it can be a bit intimidating, and it's best to let it pass. So maybe you need to let the current circumstances settle a bit, and then you could start working on chasing after what you want. It could be depicting the chasing after you want and the swift changes and the disruption that can bring, but also it could be that we maybe need to wait for things to settle, and the timing of it needs to be right as well as the thing you're actually aspiring to. So bearing all that in mind, there's a lot to consider. It's not just a case of, yes, I want this in my life, please bring it, full stop. You have to understand all the implications. And is it the right time? Are you ready for that change now? Or do you need things to settle a bit before you can cope with the change that will come? And that's for us to decide. And that is all that the cards are asking us to do. And that's today's message. Okay, so that's today's message. I'll be back tomorrow with day 20. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.